Hi everybody, and welcome back to another short video. I want to talk to you today about a looming war between Twitter and Russia. Now, as you know, for the last several years, Russia has been treated as the proverbial bogeyman. It's been the place that, for example, for years now, we've had all kinds of allegations made by the left that it's interfering in this election and that election, without any evidence actually of any such thing. But having an international bogeyman such as Russia is very convenient when you don't want to talk about actual bogeymen such as China. Anyway, Twitter and Russia have got themselves into a bit of a spate. And here it's summed up very nicely, actually. Censorship-happy Twitter is suddenly concerned about public conversations as Russia cracks down on illegal content. Basically, what's happening here is the Russian regulators are they're throttling back Twitter in Russia until it actually deals with some of the issues which has been brought to Twitter's attention by Russia. In this case, Russia has told Twitter to remove 3,100 posts found to be in violation of Russian law. And specifically, there's over 450 instances of child pornography, which is, of course, absolutely disgusting, and 2,500 incitements to underage suicide. And that's just a selection of some of the crimes, the criminal, obscene behaviors which Twitter allows. Now, in this scenario, what Russia is doing is it's saying to Twitter, listen, you need to remove these things because they're not acceptable under Russian law and we want them removed. And Twitter obviously is taking a different view on it, as is Twitter's way. I mean, Twitter is a platform that's replete with all kinds of grotesque imagery, and there's been lots of things like child pornography previously highlighted on Twitter, as well as violence, the planning of acts of violence, incitements to suicide, all that stuff. That's just par for the course with Twitter. And I think Russia is right to turn around to Twitter and say, well, listen, if you want to have that stuff in your platform, you can have it, but you're not going to have it in the Russian sphere if you want to be in the Russian market. I think that there's been so much hype talked about these platforms like Twitter and Facebook and how all they're doing is enabling free conversations. No, they're not. What they're doing is they're cracking down on conversations that they don't like. I mean, Twitter has, in particular, probably the most egregious one, made a point of shutting down anyone, anywhere who says anything it doesn't like. It allows mob rule, digital mob rule on its platform. It allows the most grotesque things to be said, and all the time by pretending it's just a platform, it's not a publisher. I'm sorry, Twitter, you got to choose a side. If you're just a platform, then you've got to allow all things which are legal, whilst making provision for national entities such as Russia, or it could be US, or it could be UK, who don't want to see child porn in their domain. You're going to have to do these things. And I'm afraid on this one, I'm 100% behind Russia in terms of asserting its sovereignty over Twitter. Because ultimately, that's what this comes down to. Is Twitter more sovereign than a nation state? I don't think it can be. I think Twitter and Facebook, for that matter, they are both pretending to be platforms. They're both publishers. They don't want to be publishers because they know the consequences of that in terms of allowing these sort of illegalities. And I think that the sooner things are changed to strip them of their flag of convenience, the better. And so, again, in this scenario, I have to say, I stand with Russia.